Good morning. I'm sure you're aware of who I am. If not, I am Fred's sister Karen. I would like to extend an invitation to you for this info instead of Ziggy. Reason being, I appreciate the way you do your research and your unbiased perspective. She wanted to, and then, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here. She wanted to give a backstory on the reason she wasn't releasing this to Ziggy. She said, I was only trying to protect him and how this report would make him look because he hasn't seen the report. But if he wants to air his and Laura's dirty laundry, I would rather you disclose this info. So she wanted to speak on the backstory also of the day Laura and Fred heard the news that Cotton Simpson was found. When they got the news that Mr. Simpson was found unalive, they were very distraught, especially Laura, and was convinced that he had been robbed, and it came out of their mouths that they were the last ones to see and speak to Mr. Simpson. Laura had made claims that she did not know Mr. Simpson and thought that he was a creep while talking to Ziggy. However, Laura seen the news on social media about Mr. Simpson's passing, an anxiety attack. She ran outside to find Fred and tell him the news. Fred came inside and said, well, I figured he would get robbed before he got home. The reaction and comments to the news of Mr. Simpson's passing didn't seem usual at the time because we were unaware of the nature of the relationship with Mr. Simpson. But after seeing this polygraph, you will understand why I was trying to keep this private. I was trying to look out for his best interest and safety in jail.
Cotton came by your guys' place the day before he passed away?
I think that's what it was. It was within that week or something. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Because
I can't remember if it was the day. I know we heard that he was dead a couple of days later or the day after. I'm not sure. But it was right there around that time.
So Fred never talked to you about what Cotton told him that day? Like he wasn't shocked, or he didn't seem like he didn't come to you and be like, okay, that was weird what he just said or anything?
No.
What was he? Did Fred keep
He told me he didn't want to talk about it because he didn't want to get me involved. He didn't want to talk about it.
Did you tell law enforcement that? About that Fred didn't really talk to you about it because he didn't want to get involved, and that makes sense.
Yep.
The less you know.
Fred's always protected me. Always. That's why I can't believe that
he's paranoid.
He would get on there and talk about this.
What they want to know?
Just if I know anything about Cotton Simpson.
So they started asking you about Cotton, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Just asked me about what Fred was saying. Pretty much.
Wow.
And I told him that I didn't know. All I noticed that that Cotton came by and they talked and I went back in the house.
And that was
and that's all I know.
Cotton spoke about being on the hill on the 15th. Yeah, he was supposed to be in the holler the very next day too. He supposedly was in the holler too. The law enforcement had let him in, so I don't know how much truth they are to it, but that's what he allowed,
Where did he go in the holler when he came in?
I don't know where he went. He didn't come to my place. So. What people don't understand either, I've not met Cotton but just a few times,
Yeah, what was it he came down there for that time, when he talked about Summer?
Somebody brought him to take and try to buy a boat I had. Trying to buy a boat.
That's right. And Marvin Simpson was there too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Marvin's one that brought him.
Yeah.
And Marvin heard the conversation as well,
What did Marvin stay with you after Cotton left, or what?
Yeah. See, Marvin's one that I was setting up with Ryan to go show Ryan where the caves was on Laurel Run Park on the back side, which is right behind Cotton's house and stuff,
Yeah, that would make sense that, he'd be the perfect one to help, that would know more than likely where it was.
The way Cotton talked about that she was like, when he said it like she was in the cave and stuff, and if that he had tried to tell the law or whatever where it was at and stuff, but they wouldn't listen to him or some bullshit, I don't know. But if they did find her, everything would be there where they'd know exactly who done what, everything, so I don't know. That was what I turned into law enforcement at first,
Yeah.
Because Marvin lived in that log house right there. That's where he was raised. And he knows all the caves, everything around it. That's why I don't know where the caves is myself. I just know what I'm told.
Yeah.
And the cave is supposed to be in there somewhere. What Fred told me finally, and I asked repeatedly for as much detail as I could, and he said, if you go to Bowser Cemetery, park at Dunker Church, there's supposed to be a trail of some sort. It doesn't look like it to me because if there is a trail right here, you can see there's something going here. It looks like private property, and it looks like you have to pass private property to get to the creek. That may be what locals do, but I can't do that. So it looks like you could park at the church, take the trail across private property, get to the creek, and according to Fred, there's a trash pile. I don't know if that's it. That looks like that could be a trash pile, or no, it looks like a house. But there's supposed to be a trash pile somewhere in here. 600 to 1,000 feet from the trash pile up here is the cave, according to Fred. Again, I didn't know whether to. It's hard to trust things Fred's telling me just because there's sometimes conflicting things that make you doubt whether he's telling the truth. In this case, though, just this week, I finally found out from someone who knows the family. I haven't been able to talk to the family directly yet, but someone who knows the family told me that Cotton was, in fact, this comes from the family, Cotton was, in fact, parked at the church for like 2 days in a row during that time. I believe during the February time when he fell. So if that secondhand information is true, everything's pointing toward Roy Cotton Simpson parking at the church and doing something up in that area, just a little ways from that trash pile, wherever it is, near Logger Falls, for 2 whole days. And if it was in February when that happened, then that is where he fell. The obituary says that's when he fell. And so we might have actually finally isolated the place, the cliff, the cave, whatever it was, not far from the trail, according to Fred, where he was found. So,
but what we do know, what Fred said, is it starts at like the bridge area and then goes up his driveway to where these old cars are up here. This was where it ended. Which, if Chad Arnold and Roy Simpson were here on Fred Hill's property at the time Fred and Laura had left and went to the vehicle disposal, she could have met up with them. Because the one thing we do know is Chad Arnold was on the hill with somebody else, and Fred's saying now it was Roy Simpson. And when Candace went up there still searching for Summer, Chad Arnold and Roy Simpson were still up there. But by the time law enforcement got there, Chad Arnold and Roy Simpson were gone.
Struck the hallway of my driveway. Let's see, Dawn ain't been here.
Yeah, so you told TBI that.
So you just heard him there. In both videos, he said the cadaver dog struck on his driveway. But then he goes, but see, Dawn had been here. Also, somebody else that he implicates in as to why the dogs would strike on his driveway is because somebody named Haskell, which is a weird name, had been there. He seems to really suspect this Haskell guy.
You know what he tells me? He tells me that the boys had touched the car. Therefore, that's why the scent had to be on it with cadaver dogs.
I was under investigation over 2 murders.
What? You're under investigation over 2 murders?
That's what they're trying to say. People have no idea what I've done for the Summerwell's case. No idea.
Fred Hill, is that his name?
I think they're talking about Fred Light. No. I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff I could say. But, no, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can't say because it would jeopardize my life.
I've got to be honest and think logically. You know, he's in a predicament right now. Could he be, trying to come up with a way to get out of jail?